Hello everyone and welcome to another wicked gameplay episode. Today we're in X-Plane and we're looking at the Aerobask Epic 1000, which is a very nice looking aircraft that they've produced for X-Plane. So this is a turboprop engine, Pratt & Whitney PT6 I believe, and yeah, it's very well done. I really like the modelling on this particular aircraft. They've done a really good job, and if you've been following any of their aircraft previously, they definitely seem to be getting better with each release that they do. So very, very impressive. It looks very, very, very good. Pretty happy with this overall. Look at the detail in that. They've done a great job in making this look nice. They've got this nice little covers on the fans and on not the fan, on the prop. Like look at even the modelling of these guys here look really cool. We've got these two guys here with their suits and ties. No flight gear, no like airline kind of uniforms there, just suits. I guess these guys are just some business guys ready to fly their little jet. And look, there's even a guy in the back here. He's checking it out there, so that's very cool. So yeah, this is what she looks like. She's very nice. We'll jump inside shortly, but what we're going to be doing is taking the tutorial flight. You can see we've got nothing to do with the aircraft. You can see we've got some orth photos in the background, going up the hills there in the background. That's kind of looks weird, but we're at San Diego, KSAN, and we're going to be taking off from here and heading to I think it's KPSP. I have to remember. I can't even remember, but yeah, I believe that's what we're going to do today. So we're going to jump in and check it out, and let's see what she looks like on the inside. Okay, so here we are inside the cockpit here, and it does look really, really good. Really nice textured leather seats here, kind of a bit low here. Probably should be sitting up a little bit, but let's just move forward. So yeah, like we've got the PFDs and MFD here, the multifunction display, and the primary flight displays here. We've got some switches on here. We'll have a look at that shortly, but we'll move around to the back. You can actually get into the passenger area here. Got some extinguishers. We can jump out the back here. We've got some tables, some pens just sitting there. None of this actually does anything here. I like these portal style windows. They're pretty cool. You can actually open this door, and we can get outside and check it out. We're on the tarmac now, checking out the scenery here. We're looking at the aircraft here. As you can see, it does look really, really good. Let's just get up here nice and close. Look at that. I mean, if you get up really, really close, it's not going to be 100% perfect, but for the purposes of flight simulation, I think they've done a really good job. So look at these hinges. Sort of weird, but you do have the lights on here. You can actually turn them on and off. But when you just go into a cold and dark state, the lights are actually on. Yep, so you can do that. That's cool. Let's see if we can shut this door. Oops. Can't actually do that. And there we go. So let's get back in the cockpit. Okay, so let's have a look down here. We've got the cold and dark flag, so we can turn them off. And what that does is when we jump outside, you can see that gets rid of the chocks and that sort of thing. So they're gone now. And the little tie downs. You can see all that's gone. When we maneuver around, I thought was a little bit odd is this doesn't. It looks like it's capped, but this I believe is the intake for the engine. So, but yeah, other than that, it looks like it's not. It doesn't actually flow all the way through, or it doesn't look like it's hollow. Is what I'm trying to say. But other than that, it's still pretty cool. We can actually turn off the left and right side yokes. You can see there with these switches, and can have a GPU outside, which I've seen on previous models of their aircraft. And And what else have we got here? Reflections, yokes, and the door open and close. Pretty standard stuff. Okay, so we've got the pre-start here, which is pretty cool. It's like sectioned off into 3 sections. Pre-start, pre-taxi, and systems. We've got some lights here. We've got the autopilot and the comms panel, gear, aircon, all that good stuff. So none of these actually do any work, or actually do work. And we've got some lights down here, the panel lights and that type of thing. And that pretty much sums up this aircraft in terms of buttons. Nothing on the roof here, just a handle to hang on if you're getting yourself into trouble. Okay, let's just see how we go firing this thing up. Now I'm not going to follow the full procedures. I'm just going to wing it. I did have a quick look through the manual, but with the limited amount of time I have, I'm just going to sort of get cracking and get this thing fired up. So we're going to turn a fuel pump on, and I'm going to turn on the nav lights. In the manual they say to turn the strobes on now, but apparently that's the correct procedure, but that just seems very odd to me. So normally I thought the strobes go on when you are getting on the runway. That's what I would normally do, but maybe some people do turn strobes on the ground here. So we've got that, we've got some fuel. We can put this back here. We've also got a reverse, so if I move this back, and I can put this, doesn't want to happen actually. Normally I can just put that in reverse. No, it doesn't want to happen, but it does actually have reverse. No, it was working last time. Anyway, it does have reverses for when you're landing. Okay, so we're down here, we've got that. Standby, avionics, we've got fuel, auto select. I'm just going to turn that on. I don't know if that's the right thing to do. Nav, panel lights are on. We've got nav lights on, so that's all good. And you can see here we've got the G1000 style primary flight display. We've got standby attitude indicator and tapes here. And let's get this thing fired up. So I've got my shortcut key here. I've got this. Let's have a little quick look where this is. We can leave that at idle. And we'll start to fire it up. Just see if I can get back a little bit here. Hit the starter. Which I do need to get down here and see this as well. I'm going to put my brakes on because this is a bit strange. Hit the igniter. Add some fuel. And we're good. It's actually not bad sounding from the startup process. Now we're going to get this check engine warning here, and I believe you have to have at least, where's the RPM gauge on here? 980 RPM or something. Just going to give that a little bit more throttle, and that should get rid of that. We can turn our generator on. We'll turn on the avionics, autopilot, trim, pressure air. I think this is all fine. That's where we'd start it normally, and that's all good. We can put, I don't think we have brakes, handbrake, and there is no brake handle, and in the documentation it didn't mention anything about a brake handle. So brakes are on, auxiliary standby, no? Auxiliary alt on. Okay, so let's turn off the, where did I, oh, that was over here. The cold and dark GPU, that should get rid of that flag. Well, now we've just got brakes on, and we could monitor our gauges, engine gauges and stuff here. So let's have a little look at our flight plan here. I've already set this up, ready to go. We're going to be going through these two waypoints and to our final destination. and then we'll come in for a RNAV approach, which is something I've never really spent much time doing before, doing RNAV approaches. So that's what we're going to be doing on this particular flight. So we'll turn this onto GPS, and we'll set flaps down for takeoff config, gears all up, and we can pretty much start making our way if we had clearance. Let's go with taxi lights are on. We're just about to move. Let's turn some pitot store heat, window heat, prop heat. I'm just going to leave all this. We're good to go. So we're going to make our way to the runway and we're going to take off. So let's look at this message here. So set course to 326, and course is, should be able to just get these two handles here like this and move this to 236. That should clear that and get back to our flight plan. Should be able to press flight plan here. Still getting used to this, these buttons here, duplicates over here. So this has got the Garmin 530 in place of the what you would normally have, but it kind of does the job. It's pretty cool. I never really liked the G1000s in sim aircraft because I just find them a little bit harder to read, but for this particular flight it should be okay, and if you're close enough it's okay, I guess. Let's make our way. Got a bit of frame lag around here. This airport, I'm not sure when I installed it, if it is one of the freeware airports. It looks really good, but it is quite taxing on the frames. It can be, I guess, unless you are running a solid enough CPU and GPU, which I'm, as I've said before, is just a very average system right now. So we'll taxi down to the runway here. So other things we can do is set our altimeter here. We've got 7320. I'm going to leave it at that. We're not going to be using the ATC on this particular flight, and we're going to make our way down and do a takeoff. We are taxiing quite fast. It does go quite fast, and from the manual I believe that is normal. Got our angle of attack gauge here. Where do I want to go? I think I'm just going to go here. This would be okay. Get us on the runway here. So we get to here. We ask for clearance. Let's get down and turn on our landing lights. We might even turn on our strobes now that we're doing this. Nav, strobes, taxi. I don't think we need our taxi lights on during the day anyway. My thoughts are push lever full forward actually. Oops, so I've moved this lever full forward. What did I just press? I think my flaps. Okay. Take off. We're gonna maneuver out onto the runway and make our way out. Follow the GPS. So slight crosswind here. Okay, so what do we want here? Flight director. Put our nav on. I'll leave everything as it is. We would normally adjust our heading, which somewhere around here. We can bring this around. I don't actually know what our runway heading is. Let's assume it's 270. Should check that on the runway charts. Okay, so we're looking pretty good. We're just going to take off and make our way out. Now, apparently this thing can climb pretty rapidly, but we're gonna make our way. I'll just get ourselves up. Oops. Too busy looking at my meter. Let's get to about 100. I think it's a bit earlier than that, but we're up in the air now. We've got a positive rate. We gear up. We'll do flaps up. One thing I didn't do was trim. And we'll follow our flight director. Just bring our thrust back a little bit. So let's just put the autopilot on.
Engage.
And we'll put our... What am I looking for? B speed. Okay, 1,000 feet. You can see here we're climbing 1,000 feet. Make sure our flaps are up. You can see here our flaps. Turn our air conditioning on. So we're going alright. Nav lights, strobes are on, panel lights are on. We're all good. Yeah, she's quite a nice aircraft, that's for sure. Slide along the coastline here. Have a look at some of those details. Okay, so we're flying along now, and we're just going to look at a couple of things here with the primary flight display here. We've got the navigation. We can flick the nav ones. You can see it's changing that as well. We've got the comms over here, and that's changing both over here on the multifunction display. What else have we got? We can change the barrow reference here, which I didn't do. We can change the course, change the range of the multifunction display map. There's a lot of stuff like transponder here. You can change the transponder numbers, turn the transponder on, and then change the numbers here by just clicking through these. So let's just assume we're 2220. Turn it off or turn it on. Put it on Alt there, get out of that. Got some other options here with your clock, local clock, UTC time, alerts, tests. It's interesting. What else is there? We've got the engine bar, engine system. So we can flick through these and change what's displayed over here. We've got fuel. Fuel that we have, show hide. It's kind of nice with it on. I really like it. Reset, back. The OBS, turn that on and off. CDI, with the GPS, PFD. I've actually seen this before, minimums. So we can actually use some of these settings. I haven't actually ever played with that, so voice back. So you get the idea, there's quite a few features there. This is pretty much the standard Garmin GPS here. We could change the message. Airspace ahead. We also have a checklist here. So this is a checklist that we could use. I haven't actually used that before. Got a wind speed indicator. Emergency checklist. Weather radar. Wind. We've already looked at wind. VNAV, which is pretty standard stuff, and can't get rid of that wind. OBS. CDR, so actually, and then just navigation display. So it's going to tell us we're going to turn a right turn in about 5 seconds. Have a look outside. Still not turning. Oh, we've gone past it. What have I done? Oh, I've turned the nav off here. That's why. There you go. Making a right turn. Get back on track. And we'll change our course again to 5056. So we'll click on here and 0. All the way around 0, 5, 6. And we're good. See, we've got pretty good speed, 253 knots. We're climbing at, I've moved this up to 10,000 feet, and I'm assuming that this is the right baro temperature, not temperature, baro reference. We're climbing at 900 feet per minute, and we're maintaining 252 knots. Could also climb with IAS, and that would mean that we could be sure that we couldn't stall the aircraft, which is kind of a nice feature about IAS hold.
Approaching altitude.
You can see we've got some voice there as well. So we're going to be coming up here and making a left-hand turn, and then setting up an approach to come in. We're going to follow the RNAV approach and do an auto land, more or less. Maybe I might do a hand landing, manual landing using the guidance from the RNAV approach. So there's our message. Okay, so basically it's not a long flight, and we'll rejoin when we start our or start setting up for our approach. Okay, so we're about 7.5 nautical miles out from our next waypoint, and we want to start setting up the approach. So we're going to select procedure here, select the approach, click enter. And we want to go to the RNAV 13, and I think we'll go Z. Okay, so I can remember how to do this. RNAV RZ approach. That should generally, the way I understand it, give us lower minimums, but I'm not an expert on this. We just need to pick the correct waypoint that we're coming in from, which is TRM. We'll do that, and we can I'm actually just going to activate the approach straight away, and we're just going to do that, and we're good. So we want to get back to the flight plan here. It doesn't actually work. You can actually click clear here on the pop-up. You click clear, you'll see that it'll bring us back to this map view. And what we really need to do is start making our way down. So I want to get down as quickly as I can. I'm going to start slowing down here. V speed and down. Throttle back. Still got my landing lights on. Zoom out here a little bit. We've still got a fair way to go actually before we start that, so plenty of time. Now you can actually let me just fix this to 328. We'll change our course here. 328. We'll keep that happy. All good. Okay. So we actually got a fair way to go before we don't need to descend probably so fast. Just going to slow this down a little bit. I mean, there's a formula for calculating your descent, but I'm just going to leave it where it is right now. We're going to descend like that. That's actually still quite fast, considering how far out we are. We want to get down to about 3,400 feet for this particular airport to capture the glide slope, which would be the RNAV glide slope, not an ILS. So the RNAV is actually something, it's a GPS approach rather than an instrument landing system, which is on the ground at the airport. At least that's how I understand it. It is part of the GPS built into the plane, and that means that the airport doesn't have to have an ILS system. You can land via the RNAV system, which is area navigation GPS approach. That's about as much as I know about that right now. But it's really interesting, and I believe in real world flying it means you have a lot more options for like an instrument landing or a GPS type landing without that particular airport having to have an ILS set up at the airport. Okay, so we're going to make our way down. We'll continue to descend. I'll make sure we descend slow enough to clear these mountains, and I'll see you when we start our approach, coming in back here about this check site waypoint here. So we'll see you soon. Okay, so we're coming in here now. We're getting closer to our
400, 300.
We're getting close to terrain here. It's something I didn't expect.
Approaching waypoint.
But yeah, we actually probably getting a little bit low here.
500.
Jump outside. Still cleared the terrain. We've got that warning there, which is kind of nice.
500.
So we want to get down to about 3,400, which will line us up with the approach. Probably actually a bit low here. So what I'm going to do is just lift this up a little bit. Just want to get over these mountains here, just to make sure we do clear it. Probably should have planned that a bit better, but yeah, I really don't spend too much time planning these flights because it's more about learning about the aircraft rather than the navigational aspect. If I was going to do
altitude.
Thanks. If I was going to do a navigational episode, then yeah, that's what I'd be focusing on. This is more about just looking at the aircraft, so I don't have to spend too much time looking at charts and all that sort of thing. So the main thing is that we haven't hit anything.
Approaching waypoint.
Okay, so we want to start to make our way back down now. 3,400 PS, and let's move down. We don't want to miss that. So we've got localizers already on here. We can see our localizer here. What we need to do though is hit our approach soon.
Approaching waypoint.
If we're too high, we'll miss the glide slope, and yeah, that'll be the end of it, and we'll be chasing that glide slope. So you can see here the glide slope markers now come into effect here. You can see it here, so I'm just going to hit my approach button. See if we can capture that. Glide slope is here is in yellow on the primary flight display here. So we've got our glide slope here. You can see it's slowly coming in. So we're still looping around to the runway. Start slowing ourselves down a bit more.
Approaching waypoint.
And glide slope's captured. Glide slope is captured, so we're on the approach. Start to slow down. We've got LNAV and plus V here in the navigation display. Following our glide slope down on the autopilot. get this down slow enough so we can get some flaps. Throttle back. So we're going quite fast, so we're on the glide slope quite nicely. No speed brakes on this aircraft, so we can't do anything about that.
Approaching waypoint.
So it does follow the RNAV approach, which is nice, providing that you're at the right altitude to capture that. Doing some adjustments.
Gear down.
Put some gear. First stage of flaps. And start to accelerate again. Make sure we don't get too slow. Second stage of flaps. And it keeps around about 100 knots.
1000.
Set course to 130. Where are we? Oh, there we are. So we're looking pretty good. Keeping an eye on our airspeed. Landing. Nose gear. Right and left gear is all down. Flaps are down. In landing configuration. We're looking good. We've got our landing lights on. All our lights are good. We're looking good. So we can just come in for a automated approach here. We just want to keep an eye on airspeed. As you can see, we're starting to slow down. Don't really want to get much slower than our 90 knots. You can see our PAPI lights here showing us a 2 red, 2 white, which is perfect. As you can see, this is working absolutely the way it's supposed to.
Approaching waypoint.
It's nice voiceover here. Zoom. Can I get our range in here a little
500.
bit more?
400.
Everything's good. Last minute checks.
Autopilot
Turn the autopilot off there.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Set the slow down. And it should say, yep, it's in beta now. So we can actually do that. And that's basically it. We're on the ground. Autopilot's off. Flaps up. Flaps up again. We'll exit the runway here. Don't know if this is the right way because I'm not familiar with this airport. So we'll do that. Landing lights off, taxi lights on. We don't really need taxi lights during the day. Make our way back to the taxi. Going quite fast here. Slowing down. So we guess we don't really need to taxi all the way back, but I think it's not too far, so we'll make our way back here. Get clearance to cross another runway. It's quite fast on the ground. So there you have it, the Aerobask Epic E1000. It is a pretty nice plane actually. I was a bit surprised. I have the one of their other aircraft, DA42 or whatever it is, and this is definitely, in my opinion, better. Pretty happy with this overall. It's really well done. So tell me what you think. It is a really nice aircraft and these guys are doing an amazing job. I'm really looking forward to more stuff these guys are doing because they seem to be getting better with each aircraft release. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Let that shut down. Tell me what you think. Leave a comment. Tell me what you want to see. Next episode will be probably back to P3D or Prepared or FSX. Maybe looking at Coronado aircraft or something else. I'm not really sure yet. We'll see when I get there. But until then, we'll see you on the next one. Have a great week and we'll catch you then. Bye.